Jacinda Ardern's got herself into her first big political brawl, and it's a trans-Tasman one. In an extraordinary statement, Australia's Foreign Minister has accused our Labor Party of conspiring to try to bring down her government. She also says it would be difficult to build trust if Labor wins next month's election. It's all to do with the shock revelation their Deputy Prime Minister is a Kiwi. Political editor Patrick Gower is with us from Parliament. And Patrick, how did it come to this?
Yes, well, a senior Labor MP here was caught out digging for his Australian counterparts, and that has caused full-scale trans-Tasman political hostility. Australian Foreign Minister Julie Bishop on the warpath with an extraordinary attack aimed at New Zealand.
New Zealand's facing an election. Should there be a change of government, I would find it very hard to build trust with those involved in allegations designed to undermine the Government of Australia.
Julie Bishop's target, Jacinda Ardern's Labor Party. The problem, Labor MP Chris Hipkins. He did some digging for a mate in the Australian Labor Party, looking for information that could bring down its Deputy Prime Minister, Barnaby Joyce.
Treacherous behaviour.
Barnaby Joyce's position in Australia's Parliament is under threat because of a quirk in the law that means that despite being born over there, he is a New Zealand citizen through his father born here. Last Wednesday, Chris Hipkins asked this very specific question of the Minister of Internal Affairs. Would a child born in Australia to a New Zealand father automatically have New Zealand citizenship?
This is highly unethical.
It was what's called a written question. A response was due back in 6 working days, but Australian journalists were making inquiries of their own at the same time and had already gone to the Department of Internal Affairs themselves. The story broke yesterday before Hipkins' answer had come back.
I was interested in understanding what the New Zealand law was, which is why I asked the written parliamentary question. I had no idea that it was going to have this particular impact on Australian domestic politics.
But Jacinda Ardern told a different story. Australian Labor gave the orders.
He's been very clear that he was approached by an acquaintance in the Australian Labor Party.
These are serious issues to interfere in another country's politics.
It is a tribal trans-Tasman fight. Barnaby Joyce is leader of the National Party, which is in coalition with Malcolm Turnbull's centre-right Liberal Party. Julie Bishop is one of its senior members and also took the fight to Australian Labor leader Bill Shorten.
The New Zealand Labor leader has confirmed that a Labor Member of Parliament was contacted by an unnamed Labor member here in Australia. Bill Shorten must reveal the name of that member.
But Minister of Internal Affairs Peter Dunn pointed out the official information about Barnaby Joyce's citizenship was given to the Australian journalists, not to Hipkins.
It's easy to be wise after the event and see the link, but it wouldn't have been apparently obvious at the time the question was lodged.
Regardless of what information was known, this was not an appropriate question for us to be asking or to be involved in.
The Australian High Commissioner met with Jacinda Ardern. The diplomacy was positive.
Talk about the need for transparency and essentially to reiterate the Australian government's concerns, and she set out her views and her disappointment.
But the politics are really negative.
Deliberately designed to undermine the Australian government. Thank you.
Political warfare across the Tasman and across party divides.
Well, Patrick, that meeting with the Australian High Commissioner has just wrapped up. Do we know how it went?
Yes, Jacinda Ardern has just emerged. She has not made any apology, no back down, still backing Chris Hipkins. This is what she had to say.
Did you apologise to Peter Walcott?
For
Chris's actions?
I made it very clear that his actions were unacceptable, and I've made that clear to the public, and I've made that clear to all of you.
But you didn't say sorry though.
Look, the actions of Chris speak for themselves. He himself has said that he shouldn't have done it, so we made that absolutely clear.
But you didn't apologise?
No, I didn't apologise, but I made it clear that what has happened is unacceptable from my perspective.
Now, very important to note what this would mean in Australian politics. If Barnaby Joyce goes down, the whole coalition there could go down as well, because Malcolm Turnbull has a very small majority over there. That is why Australia is taking this so seriously.
Patrick, do we know if Ardern has taken any action against Chris Hipkins?
Well, not a lot, actually. She really has essentially backed him, although she has, as you saw there, told him off. Now, it is important to note also that Chris Hipkins is one of the most senior members of the Labour Party. He would be a minister if Labour wins the election, and you really have to suspend belief if you want to think that Chris Hipkins didn't know what he was doing and was just inquiring into the law using what is a very special privilege available to MPs, those written questions which allow them to get fast official information out of the government. Now, Chris Hipkins is a dirt digger from way back. He is a sophisticated political operative who has spent all of his life, all of his working adult life virtually in the Parliament. So you really have to suspend the belief if you think Chris Hipkins didn't know what he's doing.
Patrick, thank you. Never mind the fallout here. In Australia, the government is facing a battle for survival. Australia correspondent Connor Whitten is in Sydney. And Connor, within the past hour, we've learned that Barnaby Joyce has formally renounced his New Zealand citizenship. But is that enough to save the Turnbull government?
Yes, Sam, Australia's Deputy Prime Minister is a Kiwi no more, but that could be too little too late. He was still a New Zealand citizen when he was elected to Parliament, and that would have made him ineligible to run at all. You heard the anger of Australia's Foreign Minister earlier, and that's because the wheels have been set in motion that could bring this government down. In October or November, the High Court will decide if Barnaby Joyce gets to stay on in Parliament. If he doesn't, they lose that slender majority, and there are only a few independent MPs they could turn to prop up the government in that case. 2 of those MPs have already said there will be no guarantees, and without that backing, Malcolm Turnbull's government could face a vote of no confidence in Parliament. If they lose that, Labour gets the chance to govern.
Connor, not much fun for the government, as you say, but the Australian media seems to be enjoying this.
Yeah, that's right. Barnaby Joyce woke up this morning to something of a headline writer's dream. He's an old sheep farmer himself, and the Australian papers wasted no time in drawing out those old Kiwi stereotypes. So something of a constitutional crisis for the government, but a source of great amusement in Australia as well.
Connor, thank you.